The Clippers announced the other day that Kawhi Leonard is out indefinitely for the start of next season with a right knee inflammation. So I have to say, as a Spurs fan, I am not surprised by this news. Not at all. Definitely not at all. Kawhi has been an injury prone player for a very long time now, and he's gotten away with it for a long time because the media has protected him. His fan base has protected him. They have made tons of excuses for him. But with that being said, I thought about this, that how Kawhi has been successful in stealing money from NBA teams for a very long time. He certainly learned how to do it while he was with the San Antonio Spurs. I know some people are going to say you're a Spurs fan, you're salty, and you're bitter about what Kawhi did to the Spurs. And I would say I was salty and bitter, but I got over that a very long time ago when I realized how injury prone and how unreliable this guy truly is, that you can't win a championship with this guy. You just can't really win a championship relying on this guy. I know people will bring up 2019, but I just felt that was just a perfect storm for him where everything fell in place and he got somewhat lucky during that run. But if you go back to the infamous last season Kawhi had with the Spurs, which was the 2017-2018 season, he only played 9 games that year. Okay, keep in mind 9 games. And I remember he kept on saying he had an injury. He had an injury that this was he wouldn't be clear about it. It was very vague. For those of you who don't remember, the injury the Spurs diagnosed him with was quad tendinopathy. I think I'm saying it right. I'm not sure. It's quad tendinopathy. I can't say, it's a tongue twister. Go look it up. But that was the injury they had diagnosed him with, which was a chronic injury. They actually got the diagnosis correct back then. That's something people forget. They straight up told him that, hey, with this injury, you're going to have to be managed properly. We're going to have to reduce your minutes to avoid injury. And, in some games, we will just allow you to rest and not play back to back. Kawhi got angry about it, and he pretty much decided, hey, I'm just not going to play the whole entire year. I'm definitely not going to play the whole entire year. I'm going to hold out on you guys. And if we're being honest, this was a ploy by him and his uncle back then to just get traded from San Antonio to the Lakers. They stupidly thought the Spurs would trade to their arch rival, the Lakers, that they would just give him up easily to the Lakers, which they underestimated in that regard. The Spurs were never going to deal with the Lakers, but that was really their goal, for being honest. That was really the plot from the beginning, and they used that injury to milk his way to get out of San Antonio. I bring this up is because for that whole entire year, the man only played 9 games. And I definitely believe he could have played more than 9 games. He just hijacked the Spurs for his own selfish reasons. I say hijacked because during that fiasco, he refused to communicate with the Spurs. They couldn't reach him. He was MIA. That's why I don't respect his story, because if you're seriously hurt, you do return the phone calls to your team. You do let them know where you're at. They didn't know where he was at for nearly several months. They had an idea he was in New York, and then he was going to Philadelphia. He was trying to get a second opinion, which I believe he was trying to find a way to prove the Spurs and misdiagnosed him. But he went to 10 or 12 different doctors, and he got the same opinion until he found the one crooked one in Philadelphia, who was the Sixers team doctor, which was one of the teams that allegedly wanted Kawhi. So they played into the game with him back then, to be honest. But I felt he could have played that year. I felt he could have definitely played at least 50 or 60 games, but he decided to sit out the whole entire year, and he was able to collect it back. Let's see how much money he got playing for that year. I'm just going to look it up on Basketball Reference for the 2017-2018 season. I'm just looking for it right now. Okay, I found it. It was $18.8 million. So he basically stole nearly $20 million from the Spurs that whole entire year. And I think from that incident, that's where Kawhi really learned he could manipulate teams. He could force his will on them to not play and just collect his paychecks and do whatever he wanted. That whole entire year, that experience gave Kawhi and his people, Uncle Dennis and his team around him, that, hey, we can just milk this. We can definitely just get everything out of this, and there's nothing people can do about it. We can just make up stuff and say, like, well, Kawhi's hurting right now. He just needs to sit out. He just has to rehab. It's kind of like when someone tries to sue you for an injury in a car accident. If you ever rear end someone, they can fake the injury and just sue you for like back pain or some shit. And you can't really prove that they're lying in court. They can just make up a ton of shit. I felt Kawhi was doing the same type of stuff when it comes to his injuries now. Granted, is some of his injuries legit? Yes. When he tore his ACL, that was legit. I can't deny that. I won't discredit him for sitting out the whole entire year after he tore his ACL that 1 year. There's no way he could have came back. But for these other seasons, yeah, I'm going to come down hard on this guy. This guy misses a ton of games for this bullshit load management with the promise that, hey, come playoff time, I will be there because that's the time where I dominate and it's going to be worth it. He's been living off of that stupid moniker since probably 2019, I believe. Yep, 2019, when he would hype up the load management, his team, that is, that, hey, if you load manage Kawhi, that he's going to be ready for the playoffs and he delivers championships. Just look what he did in Toronto in 2019. That was always their argument. And he's gotten by on that argument for the last 5 years. Think about it. 5 years, people have bought into that crap, and they're willing to put up with just his shortcomings, him always getting hurt during the playoffs and whatnot, just because they believe that there's a promise in the future he's going to just somehow come through when it matters. And he does it, which is why I always harp on the regular season. What's the point of load managing and having him sit out, 30, 40 games a year if he's just not going to even be available during playoffs? That's pretty stupid. He's basically collecting free money just off of lies and promise, which the Clippers are really foolish to believe in. I had to say the Clippers were basically a bank, and they've given the keys to the bank to the robber without setting off any alarms, just shutting down the security fail safes at the bank and just telling the robber, please take my money. That's what the Clippers have done with Kawhi Leonard. They have enabled him, and now they're paying the price. They were so stupid to give him that contract extension last season. It was like 3 years. Let me try to see how much that was. 3 years, $152.4 million. So they're going to give Kawhi Leonard $152.4 million in free money. That's insane. And if you look at how much money Kawhi's made playing with the Clippers so far, I think it's somewhere between $170 and $190 million. You add the $150 million in there, it's going to be over $300 some million. Think about it. When this is all over for Kawhi, this man has been able to swindle over $300 some million from the Clippers. That's probably like the greatest heist in NBA history, where this guy was able to steal that much money and just was able to get away with it. It also shows the failure of guaranteed contracts. It allows for this type of stuff to happen. But as bad as Kawhi was in being able to heist this money, you also have to blame the Clippers for being that stupid, okay? It's kind of like that old phrase, fool me once, fool me twice. But they've been fooled more than that many times by first giving him the contract when they first signed him in 2019 and then re-upping him in 2021 and now re-upping him again. The Clippers are just fools. I don't know what they were thinking this time around with this guy's injury history that you're going to give him that deal. I guess maybe they were scared when they opened up that new arena that they were not going to have a marquee player there. So they felt they had to give him the money. But I still thought that was stupid, but it is what it is. They have now wasted a ton of money, and I don't think they have any draft picks for the next few years. So they're in a bad situation right now where they're stuck with Kawhi and they're stuck with this horrible situation. I can't say I feel sorry for them, but if the Clippers were smart, they would try to figure out a way to trade Kawhi, even for a bag of potato chips right now, just to get him off of their payroll. See if they can trick a desperate team that wants to win a title this year. There are going to be some desperate contenders come the trade deadline around the All-Star break. I definitely believe there'll be some teams trying to make some bold moves. And that's when the Clippers should try to trade Kawhi. They need to showcase him and hope he can play 10 or 12 games prior to that. And if he's playing at a high level, then you just ship his ass out of there. That's what I do, but I don't think they'll be smart enough to figure that out. But that's really the solution. But you just have to be just in awe of how Kawhi has stolen about $300 million. Well, he's going to steal over $300 million when you factor in the next few years. Just that's amazing. Just in a sick way, you got to give some credit to his uncle Dennis and his team for being able to engineer this great heist. I think this is something people will look back in amazement and awe and shock and disgust once there's a good retrospective of his career, once his career is over. Just, I don't know, this is going to be something that makes like ESPN 30 for 30, 10, 12 years from now. So that's all I really had to say about this.